The moment the doors closed inside Clarence's house, everyone knew something had gone terribly wrong. According to palace insiders, senior staff were ordered out of the corridor. Phones allegedly stopped ringing. Conversations ended mid-sentence. And by sunrise, one of Queen Camilla's most trusted palace aides had completely vanished from royal operations without explanation. No farewell, no announcement, no statement from Buckingham Palace. Then came the detail that truly stunned royal watchers. Just hours later, King Charles reportedly approved emergency internal changes behind closed doors after uncovering what insiders are calling a dangerous secret plot targeting Queen Camilla from within the monarchy itself. And now, whispers of betrayal, divided loyalties, and palace warfare are spreading faster than the royal family can contain them. Because according to multiple royal insiders, this was never just about one aide. This may have exposed something far bigger hiding inside Buckingham Palace. Before we reveal what Charles allegedly discovered and why Prince William and Princess Anne reportedly became involved behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe to Royal Rift and turn on notifications, because the next few minutes may completely change how you see the monarchy. At first, palace officials reportedly tried to dismiss the growing speculation as another exaggerated royal rumor. But insiders quickly realized something felt different this time. The silence was too controlled, too deliberate. According to multiple royal correspondents, longtime staff members suddenly stopped discussing internal palace operations altogether. One insider allegedly described the atmosphere inside Clarence's house as freezing, claiming conversations immediately ended whenever certain names were mentioned. And at the center of every whisper stood one figure, a longtime palace aide deeply connected to Queen Camilla's inner circle. For years, this individual reportedly operated quietly behind the scenes with enormous influence inside Camilla's household. Staff allegedly viewed the aide as one of the Queen Consort's most trusted loyalists, someone with direct access to sensitive discussions, scheduling decisions, and private communications. Which is why what happened next sent shockwaves through palace corridors. According to insiders, King Charles reportedly called an emergency late-night meeting involving senior advisors, legal officials, and royal household representatives. Now, inside royal operations, meetings like this are extremely rare. They're reportedly reserved for institutional emergencies, serious security concerns, or devastating breaches of trust. And what allegedly happened after that meeting terrified palace staff. By dawn, the aide was gone, access revoked, schedules changed, communication systems updated. Staff allegedly instructed not to discuss the matter under any circumstances. One royal insider claimed the removal happened with such speed that even veteran palace employees were left shaken. And suddenly, Buckingham Palace found itself facing a terrifying question. What exactly had Charles uncovered? But the moment that truly ignited speculation came just days later during Queen Camilla's public appearance. Officially, everything looked normal. She smiled for cameras. She greeted crowds. She stood beside the king exactly as expected. But royal correspondents immediately noticed something unusual. Observers described her demeanor as tense, restrained, almost emotionally distant. One palace source reportedly claimed Camilla had been completely blindsided by the king's decision and never expected such a brutal internal response. And inside royal circles, surprise can mean something dangerous. Because within the monarchy, people are rarely caught off guard, unless deeper divisions already exist behind closed doors. Suddenly, whispers of a loyalty conflict inside the royal household exploded across media circles. For weeks, insiders now claim tensions had already been building behind the scenes. Private meetings were allegedly moved away from traditional offices. Certain conversations reportedly took place only within tightly controlled inner circles. And according to palace whispers, some figures connected to Prince William's camp had become increasingly alarmed about sensitive information leaking into media conversations at an unusually dangerous pace. That detail changed everything, because at the exact moment King Charles was battling health concerns and trying to project stability. The monarchy itself may have been fracturing from within. Royal insiders now claim the crisis may have roots going back months, possibly even years. According to former palace staff and royal commentators, Queen Camilla had quietly built what some insiders allegedly referred to as a parallel court inside Clarence's house. Not officially, not publicly, but through loyalty, personal trust, and carefully controlled access. Reports suggest Camilla's network gradually expanded beyond ceremonial support into something far more influential. a tightly connected group of aides, advisors, and longtime confidants operating with growing authority behind palace walls. And as King Charles's health struggles intensified, influence inside the monarchy reportedly became more valuable than ever. Because during periods of uncertainty, access to the monarch is power. Insiders claim competing factions quietly began emerging inside royal operations. On one side were traditional royal loyalists tied closely to the institutional structure shaped during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. On the other stood newer figures connected to Camilla's growing household network. And according to some palace veterans, tensions between those groups had reportedly been escalating for months. Certain aides allegedly bypassed traditional communication chains. Sensitive discussions were increasingly handled within smaller private circles instead of broader palace frameworks. To longtime royal staff, the atmosphere allegedly began feeling disturbingly familiar. Some even compared it to earlier royal power struggles that once threatened the stability of the crown itself. But this time, the monarchy was already vulnerable. Charles was battling health concerns. Public scrutiny was intensifying daily. And behind palace walls, insiders feared influence battles were beginning to spiral out of control. Then came the discovery that reportedly pushed King Charles beyond his breaking point. According to palace whispers, investigators connected to royal operations allegedly uncovered patterns that could no longer be dismissed as coincidence. Sensitive conversations from supposedly private meetings were somehow spreading beyond trusted circles. Details involving schedules, media planning, and even discussions connected to Charles's treatment reportedly began surfacing elsewhere. That was the moment panic allegedly spread through Buckingham Palace. Insiders claim suspicion quickly centered around the aide connected to Camilla's inner circle. Now, to be clear, no public accusations were ever officially made, but whispers inside royal media circles became explosive. Some insiders allegedly believed unofficial factions were beginning to form within the palace itself. Others feared attempts may have been made to subtly influence who gained access to the king during sensitive periods. And inside the monarchy, controlling access to the monarch is considered one of the most powerful forms of influence imaginable. If true, the implications were devastating, because this was no longer palace gossip. This was about trust at the highest level of the monarchy. And according to several insiders, Prince William's camp had reportedly already been monitoring unusual internal activity for some time before the scandal erupted publicly. Then another name reportedly entered the picture: Princess Anne. Inside royal circles, Princess Anne has a reputation that terrifies palace staff: discipline, structure, absolute loyalty to the institution. According to insiders, Anne allegedly became deeply involved behind the scenes as the crisis escalated. Meetings reportedly became stricter, communication channels tightened, informal privileges disappeared almost overnight. And then came Prince William. Royal commentators now believe William viewed the situation not simply as a staffing issue, but as a direct threat to the monarchy's long-term stability. After years of royal scandals involving Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and growing public distrust, insiders claim William had zero tolerance left for internal instability. Reports suggest he quietly supported expanded reviews of palace operations, staff procedures, and communication systems. And once William and Anne reportedly aligned behind Charles, the atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace allegedly changed immediately. Staff members grew fearful. Sensitive meetings became heavily restricted. Some employees allegedly worried additional removals could follow. Because once the monarchy begins searching for disloyalty inside its own walls, suspicion spreads fast. Then came the decision that shocked even long-time palace veterans. According to insiders, King Charles personally approved the aide's immediate removal. No gradual exit, no quiet reassignment, no second chance. The response reportedly moved with chilling speed. Security access revoked within hours. Internal systems updated immediately. By the following morning, the aide had effectively disappeared from royal operations. Several insiders compared the move to Queen Elizabeth II's coldest crisis management moments: swift, controlled, and emotionally detached. And according to palace whispers, the message was unmistakable. No one would be protected if loyalty to the monarchy itself came into question. Not even figures connected to Queen Camilla. That reportedly left Camilla devastated. Some insiders claim she viewed the removal not just as the loss of a trusted aide, but as a direct challenge to her authority inside the palace. Publicly, she remained composed. Privately, palace insiders described the atmosphere as glacial. And suddenly, the monarchy's carefully controlled image of unity began looking dangerously fragile. By this point, Buckingham Palace reportedly entered full containment mode. Communication teams allegedly worked around the clock, trying to stop the story from spiraling publicly out of control. But it was already too late. Royal commentators began openly discussing internal fractures inside the monarchy. Social media exploded with theories about palace betrayal and competing royal factions. Every public appearance by Charles and Camilla became analyzed frame by frame, a delayed glance, a forced smile, a moment of visible tension. Everything suddenly became evidence. And according to insiders, palace officials feared one thing more than scandal itself: instability. Because royal historians know something the public often forgets. The monarchy is most vulnerable not when attacked from outside, but when divided from within. Now insiders reportedly fear the damage may extend far beyond one dismissed aide. Because the deeper Charles investigated, the more fragile the palace's internal structure allegedly appeared. Questions about influence, loyalty, and access to the king have now reportedly reshaped relationships throughout the royal household. And perhaps the most chilling realization of all is this: the monarchy may already be quietly transitioning toward Prince William's future reign. Royal commentators increasingly believe William's influence behind palace walls has expanded dramatically during Charles's health struggles. Some insiders even claim the crisis accelerated internal shifts already happening behind the scenes. Because when institutions feel vulnerable, they begin preparing for survival. And survival has always been the monarchy's greatest instinct. Today, the palace smiles have returned. The public engagements continue. King Charles and Queen Camilla still appear side by side before cameras. But insiders insist something fundamental inside Buckingham Palace has changed forever. Because once trust breaks inside the House of Windsor, the damage never fully disappears. It simply retreats behind palace walls. And somewhere deep inside those silent royal corridors, one message is reportedly echoing louder than ever. In the monarchy, loyalty is rewarded, but betrayal is never forgotten. If you enjoyed this report, subscribe to Royal Rift right now, because the next royal revelation may already be unfolding behind closed doors. And trust me, this story is far from over.